Dear learners, welcome you again. Today we learn about the methods of planting borders. A border in a garden typically comprises a carefully arranged mix of herbs which may include annuals, biennials and perennials. These plants vary in height and flower color, collectively contributing to a vibrant and visually captivating element within the garden landscape. And a herbaceous border, a common feature in garden, it is characterized by its informal arrangement of plants. It typically includes annuals, biennials and perennials either individually or in combination, which is often referred to as the mixed borders. This blending of plant types add diversity and interest to the border. Placement options for the herbaceous borders are flexible. It can be positioned in front of a hedge, against a wall or along a pathway within the garden. This versatility allows gardeners to integrate herbaceous border seamlessly into various areas of their garden, enhancing the overall aesthetic appeal and creating focal point for visitors to enjoy. The English garden often boasts a characteristic feature, the herbaceous border teeming with hardy perennial herbaceous plant. This border typically hosts a variety of bulbal plants and annuals, lending seasonal variety and visual allure to the landscape. To thrive, the herbaceous border require ample soil depth and can be strategically placed against walls, fences, shrubs or hedges. It may even be arranged as a double border, one behind the other, with a grass path dividing them or for added depth and interest. Not only serving as a decorative element, the border also serves to demarcate divisions within the garden, defining different sections. A living background like a hedge or shrub is highly desirable, providing a natural backdrop and enhancing aesthetic appeal. Careful consideration is needed to prevent root interference from shrubs or hedges, favoring those with limited root space to preserve the health of the border plants. For those seeking a formal design, curved margins add an elegant touch and structure to the border, completing the picturesque scene of the English garden. Here are the various methods for planting herbaceous borders. The first one is the traditional mixed planting. This method involves blending different herbaceous plants with varying heights, colors and texture to achieve a naturalistic and visually appealing border. The process typically begins with the soil preparation, followed by planting taller species towards the rear and shorter ones toward the front to create a layered look. The next type is colored theme border. Gardeners can select a specific color scheme and choose herbaceous plants that fit within that palette. This may involve planting various shades of a particular color or creating a complementary color scheme to achieve a visually striking effect. And next is linear planting. It creates a linear border along pathways, fences or walls by planting herbaceous plant in a straight or gently curving line. This method is suitable for formal gardens or areas with limited space. And the last one is the group planting. In cluster plant with similar characteristics or color together in groups or drifts within the border. This technique helps to create focal point and enhances the visual impact of planting scheme. Next method in border preparation is successional planting. This method involves planning your border so that plants bloom at different times throughout the growing season, ensuring continuous color and interest from spring to fall. Careful selection and arrangement of plants based on their flowering times and growth habits are essential for this approach. The other method for is layer planting. It creates a multi-layered effect by combining herbaceous plants with varying heights and growth habits. Taller plants can be positioned as backdrop or for mid-sized and growing species, adding depth and visual interest to the border. Next is companion planting. It consider for companion planting by selecting herbaceous plants that offer mutual benefits such as pest control, nutrient uptake, or providing habitat for beneficial insects. This method promotes biodiversity and can contribute to the overall health of the borders of ecosystem. Regardless of the method chosen, it is crucial to consider factors such as soil preparation, spacing, watering, and maintenance requirement to ensure the success and longevity of your herbaceous border. Proper care and attention will help your plants thrive and create a vibrant and attractive garden display. The front portion of a border holds a greater significance than the background since it's the aspect most commonly viewed. An ideal frontage consists of a well-maintained stretch of lawn offering a pleasing foreground color. This area should be sufficiently wide, preferably not less than 2 meters and up to 3 meters or for larger borders. A paved walkway made of bricks or stone is regarded as the optimum choice as it provides a durable and tidy pathway regardless of the season, although the initial investment for installation may be considerable. A proper constructed walkway requires minimum to maintain over time. A practical compromise could involve using a combination of both lawn and paved edging. This edging typically 30 to 45 cm in width between the borders and the grass may be constructed using paved stones or bricks. This setup offers advantages particularly when some plant in the border extend beyond the edge, making grass moving challenging. Then in a broad border, gardeners have to flexibility to accommodate plants of varying heights provided they are willing to dedicate sufficient attention to the stacking the tallest plants. This allows for diverse and visually appealing arrangement within the border. However, in narrower borders or double-faced border, it's advisable to restrict the minimum height of plants to 3 meters. This limitation helps maintain balance and prevents overcrowding, ensuring that all plants receive adequate light and airflow while contributing to an aesthetically pleasing overall composition. By careful consideration, height and arrangement, gardeners can create harmonious and well-balanced herbaceous border that enhance the beauty of their outdoor spaces. In an herbaceous border, plants are strategically arranged into distinct groups to create visual interest and cohesion. In an average sized border, each group typically consists of 4 to 5 plants, while larger border may accommodate between 5 to 7 plants per groups. It's important to avoid planting too many vigorously growing plants in one group as this can lead to an uneven appearance if a group completes flowering early. Each group should be planted in drifts of regular shapes rather than in uniform box or round formations. This approach adds a naturalistic and dynamic equality to the border design. While the general arrangement in an herbaceous border involves a gradation from dwarf to taller plants positioned toward the back. Occasionally, deviations from this pattern can prevent monotony or an overly formal appearance. For example, tall but slender plants may be strategically placed toward the front of the border, or medium height drifts may be interspersed among the tallest plants to create visual interest and variation. By carefully considering grouping and color arrangements, gardener can create herbaceous borders that are visually appealing, harmonious, and dynamic throughout the growing season. There are two contrasting perspectives regarding color scheme in gardening. One group advocates for harmonious color schemes where light shades transition to dark shades and vice versa. This approach aims to create a cohesive and visually pleasing arrangement of colors. On the other hand, some believe that in nature, colors never clash and diversity in color can enhance the beauty of garden. While both viewpoints have their merits, being overly rigid in adhering to one specific approach may limit creativity and flexibility in the garden. In the past, English garden often features borders with exclusively color palettes showcasing a rich variety of colors such as reds, blues, yellow, pinks, whites. However, due to space constraints in modern gardens, few gardeners can afford to create such as expansive color schemes. Not, Nonetheless, if sufficient space is available, such arrangements should be encouraged as they can create stunning and diverse displays that evolve throughout the seasons. Then borders involves the planting. To ensure successful planting and maintenance of herbaceous border, a precise and detailed planting plan is highly recommended. Here is a step-by-step guide. First is the create planting plan. Develop a detailed planting plan on a paper drawn to scale with a scale of no less than 1:15. The plan should delineate drifts, illustrating their shapes, sizes, and include the names of the plants for each drift. Additionally, provide information on the height, flower color, and duration of the flowering for each plant. Then visualize the layout. Take the completed plan to the actual site to visualize how the layout will appear. Use pegs and cans set at the same height as the intended plans to provide a rough approximation of the final arrangement. This allows for the adjustment to be made for as needed before proceeding the actual planting process. Then third step is the select planting time. In temperate climates, planting typically occurs during autumn or early spring. However, certain plants like aster may not survive severe winter if transplanted in autumn, so they are planted on only in spring. In the plains of India, planting is usually done in September, while in the hills, spring planting is more suitable. Next is maintenance and replanting. After planting, an herbaceous border typically remains in position for about 3 years. After this period, some replanting becomes necessary, mainly for thinning out and invigorating the border. Regular maintenance, including watering, weeding, pruning, is essential to ensure the health and longevity of the border. By following these steps and adhering to the planting plan, gardeners can create and maintain vibrant and visually appealing herbaceous border that enhance the beauty of their outdoor spaces. Then the next thing is the selection of plant. In temperate regions, the main objective of an herbaceous border is to bring color to the garden during the summer and autumn months, while maintaining a constant display of flowers throughout this entire period may not be feasible. So, selecting plants carefully can help ensure a consistent presence of blooms. Conversely, in tropical climates, the emphasis may be on presenting suitable plant material in an appealing and artistic fashion. An annual mixed border refers to a garden border planted with a variety of annual flowers. It shares similar principle with an herbaceous border, except that it lasts only for a single growing season. The color scheme, grouping and other design elements are typically akin to those found in a herbaceous border. Interestingly, in these plains of India, a border of mixed annual is often referred to as the herbaceous border despite its annual nature. A mixed border typically incorporates a variety of plant types including herbaceous shrubs which have non-woody stems and less spreading root system. Second is shrubs characterized by dwarf growth and soft stem. And the third is herbaceous perennial plants that live for multiple growing seasons. And fourth is bulbal plants such as dahlias, tuberoses, zephyranthus and amaryllis which grow from bulbs. And fifth is the annual flowers which complete their life cycle within a single growing season. These plants are arranged against backgrounds like walls, ornamental trees or fencing to create a visually appealing mixed borders. Here, plant for an annual herbaceous borders can be categorized into tall, medium and dwarf type based on their heights. Here in this table we can see the tall herbaceous plants. Tall plants serve as the backdrop or focal point in the border. Examples of top plants are chrysanthemum, hollyhock, cornflower, dahlia, cosmos, all showing in these images. They have a variety in their flower color and this is the height and planting distance of the particular herbaceous plants. Then the medium plants, these plants are middle section of the border providing color and textures. Example linum, argyratum, antirrhinum, wallflower, stalk, calendula, petunia, acroleum, nasturtium. They also have a variety and flower colors and they have a height from 60 to 120 centimeter and they also have a planting distance to 30 to 45 centimeters. The third category is dwarf plants are positioned at the front of the border creating a cohesive and balanced look. Example includes the examples of dwarf plants include brachycum, candidoft, garden nasturtium, verbena, caryopsis, phlox. By incorporating a variety of tall, medium and dwarf plant, an annual herbaceous border can achieve a harmonious and visually appealing display throughout the growing season. As we can see, the dwarf plant have a height less than 60 centimeter and their planting distance is also less 15 to 22.5 centimeter. For mixed border which encompasses shrubs, subshrubs, herbaceous plants, bulbous plants and annuals, here is a list of tall plants which has a height 1 to 2 meters suitable for such garden arrangement. Like this is the list of a tall plants like Eclypha, Brunfesia americana, Caesalpinia pulcherrima, Cestrum auranticum, Dahlia tall cultivars, Gardenia florida, Hibiscus mutabilis, hollyhock, Ixora, Legistromia. These tall plants can provide structure, height and visual interest to the mixed border creating a diverse and vibrant garden display. For mixed border, here is a list of median plants which has a height from 0.5 to 1 meter which are suitable for such garden arrangement of the mixed gardens like the examples of African marigold, Angolenia grandiflora, Antirrhinum majus, Brovelia elata, Canna, Chrysanthemum, Caryopsis species, Gamphemia gracilis and Malgabia. These medium sized plants can complement their taller and shorter plant in the mixed border adding texture, color and variety to the garden display. And in mixed borders, the dwarf plant which commonly used have a height approximately 10 to 50 centimeters and the examples of these plants are different species of argyratum, alternathera, China aster, brachycum, candidoft, dianthus. Selection of site and layout. Most annuals thrive in full sun with shade for only a few hours in the morning or midday, adversely affecting their growth and flowering. Western sun is generally less critical. Annuals are typically grown either in a mixed border or as a single variety in a small bed. Incorporating a strip of green grass in front of mixed border or between two beds enhances the color display and should be wide enough to accommodate a lawn mower. The space allocated for a mixed border should be sizable and designed informally. Plants of varying heights and color are grouped with taller plant positioned at the back and shorter ones gradually toward the front. For instance, tall plants such as hollyhock and dahlia, ladylace are placed at the back, while intermediate height plants like antirrhinum, cornflower and salvia from the next group. The third cluster may be consist of dianthus, aster, wallflower, anquasa, calendula and alyssum with phlox, pansy, brachycum and candiduct selected for the front patches. In small beds, typically one type of annuals with attractive coloration is grown such as salvia, antirrhinum, dianthus, aster or phlox depending upon the bed size and position. The next step in preparation of borders are selection of soil. Loamy and porous soil rich in organic matter is ideal for the growth and flowering of annuals. In clay soil, adding the lime during the rainy season can help break up the stiff texture, while the use of sufficient organic manure can enhance the soil porosity. In sandy soil, adding clay if possible is recommended, as relying solely on manure may not be sufficient to improve the soil texture. Allowing the front annuals to spill over onto the grass edge is considered more artistic than keeping them in a straight line. To add structure to a wide herbaceous border, it is recommended to plant flowering and foliage shrubs. These shrubs act as a foil to the annuals and provide color, especially when the annuals are small or the beds are empty. Creating a sketch of mixed annual borders and a proper can helpful for amateur who may feel hesitant about the implementing their ideas directly in the field. Then next step is the seeds of annuals are typically sown in beds or shallow seed pans. The seed compost should ideally consist of 1 part of garden soil and 1 part finely screened dry leaf mold. It's important for the compost to be slightly moist before sowing, otherwise water may not penetrate readily, causing seeds to float. Seeds should be sown thinly and covered with a fine layer of screened leaf mold. It's advisable to use fresh soil for sowing, and if the soil is clay, adding sand can be beneficial. After sowing, protect the seed parts or beds from the rain. As seedlings start to sprout, gradually increase their exposure to sunlight so they become stronger enough to withstand full day sun before transplanting. Seedlings are susceptible to fungal diseases in high humidity and cloudy weather, which can be controlled with fungicide applications. Most seedlings are ready for transplanting at the 4-leaf stage. To have beds of annuals in bloom in the late December or early January, sow seeds in September and transplant seedling in October. For a display of color in early February, sow seeds in early October. Double and large flowering varieties like petunia, cineralia, carnation and stock, which require about 5 months to flower, should be sown earlier. Then preparation of beds and transplanting these seedlings. The bed should be thoroughly dug to depth of the 30 to 40 centimeter once the rain ceases and the soil becomes dry. Clods should be broken up and the soil should be pulverized and dug grain to ensure uniform tilth throughout the cultivated layer's depth. Well-rotted cow dung manure should be mixed into the soil during its preparation. During transplanting, a small hole should be prepared and the seedling should be planted with their root just covered with soil. Gentle pressure should be applied to keep the seedlings upright and they should be watered using a rose cane. When removing seedling from the seed bed or pan, care should be taken to minimize root damage. With light watering as necessary, seedling will establish in the ground in about a week. Then for successful planting, one common mistake is daily watering regardless of the plant moisture needs, which can cause more harm than good. Once seedling begin new growth, they should be watered profusely. Weeds should be removed from the beds when the soil is just moist and the soil should be allowed to dry before watering again. This simple practice is the key of successful annual cultivation. Organic manure not only provides nutrients to the soil but also greatly improves its physical condition. Cow manure is the best and readily available organic option. Fresh or half rotten manure should not be used just before planting seedlings. Chemical fertilizer should be used sparingly. A mixture of chemical fertilizers and organic manure applied as a solution in low concentration during the vegetative phase can significantly improve plant growth as well as the quality and quantity of flowers. Fertilizers can also be applied to the soil as a dry powder followed by watering. Then the next step in border preparation is the pest and disease control. Despite taking necessary preventive measures, plants are still susceptible to pest and disease attack. Incidences of pest and disease are more prevalent during cloudy or rainy periods. When symptoms of disease or pest appear on plants, they should be promptly sprayed with suitable insecticides such as Ruger, Thiodion, Malathion or fungicides like Bevestin, Calaxin, Carethrin or Blintox. Spraying should be conducted either in the morning or evening to allow the solutions to remain on the leaves or plants for an extended period, ensuring effectiveness of spraying with fungicide or insecticide is more effective when the plant remains wet, which may not occur during sunny times when the solution dried quickly. Reducing its effectiveness, it's advisable to avoid spraying during strong winds to prevent dispersion of the solution. The next is preparation of shrubby border. Shrubs, as I have told you earlier, are defined as by their woody stem, which give them a structure and preeminence. Unlike herbaceous plants that die back to the ground each year, shrubs often maintain their form year around. They can have evergreen foliage, meaning they keep their leaves throughout the year, or deciduous foliage which sheds leaves seasonally. Shrubs constitute an essential and enduring element of any garden, providing flowers throughout the year. Shrubs are fundamental elements in gardens, offering year-round beauty with their consistent flowering patterns. Garden beds does not necessarily have adhered to formal layouts. Instead, they should evoke a natural organic atmosphere. Shrubs serve multiple purposes, from concealing different sections of the garden to enhancing its overall aesthetics. They can be arranged as borders, groupings, or individual specimens typically found near garden boundaries or lawns. Shrubs come in various forms: tall, short, deciduous, evergreen, and bloom in array of seasons and colors. They contribute to the perception of depth and spaciousness even in smaller gardens, with typical width ranging from 3 to 6 meters and length varying according to garden's layout. Informal planting arrangements are visually appealing, although taller shrubs are often placed at the back of better visibility. However, There room for flexibility and variation in design. Grouping shrubs take into account factors like flowering color and timing to create harmonious displays. A well-designed shrubbery adds to the natural ambience of the garden, elevating its overall charm and appeal. Here are the methods of planting shrubbery borders. There are several methods for planting shrubbery borders, each contributing to the overall aesthetic and functionality of garden. Here are some common methods. The first one is informal planting. It mimics a naturalistic arrangement resembling how shrubs grow in the wild. Shrubs of various heights, texture and color are interspersed for relaxed and visually appealing display. And in formal planting, it involves arranging shrubs in structured and symmetrical manners. Shrubs are often evenly spaced. In formal planting, it involves arranging shrubs in structural and symmetrical manners. Shrubs are often evenly spaced and may be clipped or shaped to maintain a neat and orderly appearance. Then it involves arranging shrubs in distinct layers based on their height, which is known as the layer planting. Taller shrubs are planted toward the back of the border, while shorter ones are placed toward the front, creates depth and visual interest within the border. And according to theme, it involves selecting shrubs based on a specific theme or concept such as color, scheme, season of interest or habitat type. Shrubs are arranged and planted according to the chosen theme to create a cohesive and harmonious border. As like in herbs budding, similarly mixed planting combines shrubs with other types of plants such as perennials, annuals or bulbs, create a diverse and dynamic border, adding seasonal interest and attractive various wildlife to the garden. The next is screening planting. It utilizes shrubs to create screens or hedges, offering privacy and defining boundaries in the garden. Shrubs are planted closely together and may be regularly clipped or pruned to maintain a dense and uniform barrier. Next type is specimen planting, showcases individual shrubs as focal point within the border, selected for unique characteristics like interesting foliage, striking flowers or architectural form, planted in prominent position to draw attention and administration. Each of these planting methods presents distinct advantages and can be customized to meet the specific requirements and preferences of the gardener, as well as completing the overall design of the garden. Then cultural tips for growing shrubby borders, like the first is soil preparation. Ensure the soil is well draining, rich in organic matter and pH balanced for optimal growth. Amend heavy soil with compost or well rotted manure to improve drainage and fertility. Then sunlight requirement. Most shrubby border plants prefer full sun to thrive. Ensure they receive at least 6 hours of sunlight daily for healthy growth and flowering. And next is planting. Dig hole twice the width of the root ball and the same depth to accommodate the plant. Space plants according to their mature size, allowing for proper growth and air circulation. And water thoroughly after planting to settle the soil around the roots. Provide regular watering, especially during dry period, to keep the soil consistently moist. Avoid waterlogging by ensuring proper drainage. Use drip irrigation or soaker hoses to water at the base of plants and avoid overhead watering, which can promote fungal diseases. Then mulching is apply a layer of organic mulch around shrubs to retain moisture, suppress weed growth and regulate soil temperature. Mulch also enriches the soil as it decomposes, providing nutrient to the plants. And regular pruning is essential for maintaining the shape, size and health of shrubbery borders. Remove dead, diseases or damaged branches promptly to prevent the spread of disease. Eliminate any crossing or overcrowded stem to improve air circulation and promote vigorous growth. Fertilization: feed shrubs with balanced fertilizer in early spring to support healthy growth and abundant flowering. Follow the manufacturer's instruction for the appropriate application of rates and timing of the fertilizer. And the next step is pest and disease management. As in the case of herbs, monitor shrubs regularly for signs of pests or diseases such as aphids, scale insects, powdery mildew or leaf spots. Treat any infections promptly using suitable organic or chemical remedies to prevent damage to the plants. Support and staking: provide support and staking for tall or heavy flowering shrubs to prevent them from sprawling or breaking under their weight. Install in stakes or trellises early in the growing season to avoid disturbing roots or damaging stems. Next is the seasonal care. Adjust care practices according to seasonal needs. Prune shrubs after flowering to promote new growth and maintain desired shape. Deadhead spent blooms regularly to encourage repeat flowering throughout the growing season. In winter protection, shield tender shrubs from harsh winter conditions by applying a layer of mulch around the base to insulate roots and retain moisture. Wrap vulnerable plants with burlap or provide temporary shelters during extreme cold spells to prevent frost damage. By implementing these cultural practices, you can ensure the healthy growth and vibrant appearance of shrubby border plants year round in your garden.